expert, the guy. Matty's got jokes and a wild ride. 30 minutes, no time to spare. Stack your lineup, win anywhere. NFL Coach Halfa, get your edge, get faster. Taylor leads, Matty's laughter. NFL SuperCoach Halfa.
For the Aussie Gridiron Network, welcome into the NFL SuperCoach Halfa podcast. We're at week 15, which means, say it after me, no more buys, no more buys. We are going to get the playoffs rolling in SuperCoach leagues as well, so it's no better time than to bring in Australia's finest fantasy analyst, Taylor.
Matty C, we are back to help steady the boat. Michael Wilson, you are the motherfucking GOAT. Let's go!
How good is that guy?
As soon as Marv's out of his way, he will play. Fuck me dead. I just can't stop rhyming.
Do you want to lay on the bay and make things out of clay?
That was the pod of the century for me last week, but I'm sure we'll get to that in a second.
Mate, why do we have to get to it in a second? I'd be going straight there now like a bag of honey.
Yeah, my wife's used to me ending in a second, but anyway. And also, honestly, Matty C, I don't want to alienate any listeners. When we said no more buys, we're not against the bisexual community. So just wanted to put that out there too, mate. So just had to give that disclaimer. But yeah, mate, Michael Wilson, obviously an amazing pod for me. I brought him in a couple of weeks ago. Just more or less because I'm looking to downgrade. I think I needed money for another trade, so I downgraded from a wide receiver to him. And because he had already had one massive game, he had a super low break even. So I thought, I'll take that shot on him, work it out later. But obviously, he's been amazing. Like every game that Marvin Harrison hasn't played, he's just absolutely dominated. So it's pretty easy for me at the moment. He's a perfect pod where if I know Marv isn't playing, he's in. And he's, again, with those massive scores, he's going to keep making money. And if Marv comes back and is fine, he might even be someone I could downgrade to make money elsewhere. So, yeah, it's been a very, very good trade for me so far. And then it helped me get a very, very good score this week.
Mate, I feel like it was a pretty darn good week for you last week. And, mate, I was feeling pretty cute as well. I feel like I had a really good week. But, mate, did you go north of 600 points last week?
I did. We had a laugh last week where we were struggling to clamour our way to 400. And then I said, it's funny how some weeks you sort of sit in that mid 500s. And then we had a week like last week where you couldn't even get 4. This week, mate, I scored a 622. So for anyone who looks at, how much things can change over 1 week to another, that was a huge turnaround for me, obviously, and my biggest week of the season. So we'll even get to our leaderboard that we've got in our group. I actually topped the leaderboard this week with that score. So, and I believe I was 31st in all of SuperCoach for this week. So, yeah, it was a good week for your boy here.
A very good week, and mate, I was feeling cute. I had 570 coming off the 387 the week before, where I refused to even look at myself in a mirror because I was so disappointed in myself. So it changes things pretty quickly when you have a week like that. And I was joking that all you need to do is take CMC out of my lineup, and look how good it gets. So maybe more buys.
Only the best running back in fantasy / SuperCoach, and we take him out of our lineups. That's all we needed. Turns out CMC was bringing us down the entire time, Matty C. Who would have thought? But
that was it.
And I've talked to you off, Mike, as well. Like, it was just a very good week for the podcast in general. Obviously, I had some pretty bold takes about Mahomes and Rashee Rice moving forward, and as guys I was trying to get people maybe to avoid bringing in just based off what they saw the week earlier against the Cowboys. The Texans are literally the anti-Cowboys. Like the difference between defenses is chalk and cheese. So I heard some people take my analysis and take me on my word for that and avoid probably more so Mahomes than Rice, because I was probably not so much against Rice. Like, I thought he'd find his way moving forward even in some of these tougher matchups, but I thought Mahomes was the kind of guy we could possibly hold off, and I brought up all the matchups moving forward. And yeah, I'm happy I got some very good messages about that analysis from guys that obviously held off for that reason. We don't always get everything right, but you always trust your gut and trust your analysis, and that's what I did, and hope, and I'm glad that it worked out for this time around.
Yeah, one of your really fine calls. You've had plenty of them, but one of your really, really fine calls of the year, backed up with beautiful analysis for anyone who didn't catch that. You will be hearing more about that as the week gets older. I'll tell you what. Like for folks who just do that every damn week, there seem to be a few of them in our SuperCoach Halfa podcast league. If you haven't joined it yet, it's not too late to get your team involved too. 962235 is our league code in the SuperCoach app. But there are 320 SuperCoaches in there vying for prizes, and the top place at the end of the year is going to win a custom NFL jersey. Any player of your choosing, perhaps a Michael Wilson. Fucking why not? After his heroics lately as well. If you do want to get involved, though, you can win that jersey and also a bit of AGN, Aussie Gridiron Network swag. The top 5 in that league seem to have weeks like you had last week every week, Tay, except this week just gone, you actually outscored all the people who are currently in our top 5. Do you want to run us through who's in there?
Yeah, look, Matty, see, for 1 week sample size, we've got Oz NFL Fantasy Show, coached by Taylor. Just joking. For guys like you said, have actually been consistent this year and had a very, very good full year. We've still got Yarpin at the top with Penix in your Butker. But the problem for him this week is he did have that Mahomes-Rice stack, so he's definitely fallen a bit closer to the pack. And this is what I brought up last week. Yes, he had a very good lead, but that doesn't mean you don't keep chasing because things can change very, very quickly. So Yarpin, congratulations, still first. He's gone down to 21st overall from, was it 7th last week? So, but look, plenty of chances for him to still push his way up to that first spot as well. So he's sitting in first still. We've got Slappers, coached by Alistair. He's into 38th overall, so he's actually sort of tightened that gap between him and Yarpin by about 70 points, I believe. So he definitely, is in a very good chance. He's definitely a very big chance of trying to win our group. Next is Neighbours Penix Hurts Me, coached by Tyler. Sort of been sitting in that top 5 for a little while now. He's in 41st overall, so he's right behind Alistair of the Slappers. And it's very tight even to 4th with Get the Sack, coached by Blake. He's in 43rd overall. And then rounding out the top 5 is Ashton Genteases. He's sort of been a mainstay as well, coached by Joshua. He's sitting in 64th overall. So to have 5 guys in the top 64 is great.
Yeah, amazing, isn't it? And these guys have been pretty consistent in the last couple of weeks, especially. Everyone who's in the top 5 this week was in the top 5 last week. And most of them have improved spots. And as you find when you're at the very top, like Yarpin has been, if you have an average week, it can hurt you. Folks around you having a good week, and I think, as you say, Slappers, he caught up somewhere almost nearly 100 points in that 1 week. So it does show you too that you're never out of it, but you're also never safe. So kind of cool thing about SuperCoach, mate.
So absolutely, and we're going to have absolute carnage right at the end of this year. We've talked about week 18, so everyone just keep playing because you never know what could happen.
Yeah, hold on to your hats, right?
NFL SuperCoach Halfa.
We do this every week. We go through the players most traded out. And when I was looking at this last night, which was on the Tuesday after Monday Night Football had played, so there weren't terribly many moves in at that stage, I was a little surprised who I saw at the top. It has changed, which actually fills me with a bit of joy. But the first player on this list is Roma Dunze, who's still at $10 million and has a break-even of 36 now, Tay. Do you reckon the only people who are still holding on to him were people who prioritise other trades? Surely the news is you just got to move.
100%, yeah. It would have just been people seeing that 10 million and thinking, it's not quite enough for me to need to make the move, or they just didn't know a wide receiver to downgrade and they just had enough starters in the wide receiver position, so they just kind of held him. Look, if I completely understand the move, it's one I made about 3. I actually think now I think about it, that's who I moved down to Michael Wilson. So that was obviously a move I'm very, very happy with a few weeks ago. But if you haven't made that move already and you're looking, at places to make money or even upgrade, Roma Dunze is the perfect candidate. He missed last week, but even when he's been on the field, his role's just completely changed from what we saw earlier in the year. We've seen guys like Loveland and Luther Burden getting more involved for the Bears. So, this is a no-brainer for me. Get him out.
Yeah, kind of what's good about that is nothing changed from last week, right? You said the same things about Burden and Loveland last week. Odunze didn't play, so his numbers have stayed static, which also then takes away the urgency, I guess. It's like you're not likely to miss a big game. You're also not going to lose money.
No, not at all. Yeah, I just don't see a high ceiling for him even when he's back at the moment.
Next on that list, also someone who I think, You're always hopeful that he would have had a big game, but if you're not out of the Ashton Genty business now, I would be. He's made you the money, right? He's still $9 million up on this year, but every week he's just losing you a bit of money. Not a ton of money, but he's definitely not upkeeping his price. This is one where it's a priority to move him out now, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of a contrarian look at this, and it's not so much that I believe that Genty's going to be this amazing asset moving forward, but it's just kind of like at $13 million now. I don't know. He's got a pretty decent matchup. The Eagles have been getting torched on the ground. I'd probably keep an eye on the Jalen Carter news because when it's not there, the other teams seem to run the ball even better. But against the Eagles, they're a bottom third defense against the running back position. And I'm not exactly seeing the Geno Kenny Pickett. I don't even know if it's really a downgrade at this point. If anything, Pickett came in and actually looks pretty good for the Raiders. So I don't know exactly if that's a downgrade for him and this offense anyway. So I'm kind of looking at this like if I've lost the money already and I'm sitting there at 13 million, he's probably not going to get played by many people. He's probably not a little bit bad, like sort of pod play. But if you've got if you're looking at him and you're having to play him and you're like, I'm not sure, and you've got the money sitting there and you can upgrade him, I've got no problem with it either. So this isn't me talking people, don't quote me on this and go, Taylor's telling everyone to hold on to Genty. I'm just saying, if you want that sort of different play and you just don't really want to be forced into, forking out a bunch of money to upgrade him, I don't think he's a bad little hold there just to see how things look of Pickett and how they go against this Eagles rush defense that's been getting torched lately.
Yeah, you're braver than me, Tay. I'll tell you what. Mate, I don't know if I like this next move. Tyler Warren at $9.5 million is the next guy out. With a break-even at 27, a totally achievable break-even. Why do you suppose people are making this move? He's still worth $10 million, and I know that the quarterback's changing there, but it's not like Dan Jones had been on fire lately anyway.
I don't know, Matty C. I've been very, very, prominent on talking about not letting go of Tyler Warren. Oh, we're going to get to our trades near the end, and I've got one that's staring me in the face, and I almost want you to talk me out of it. So this might be a section where you can kind of talk a little bit about Tyler Warren. I love the talent. I think he is going to be a dominant tight end moving forward in his career. He's definitely a separator. The offense needs him. So, yeah, I do think he's a fine hold, but there are some guys around tight end. I don't know what it is about tight end. There's some guys I've noticed this week that aren't bad shifts over. It very much is sideways trading. It's not a must do. To be honest, if I was moving him out, I would probably want to go up to a George Kittle. He's the guy I think moving forward with Brock Purdy there that he'd be the one to upgrade to. There is another guy I'm looking at that's a bit of a sideways trade, but in general, just, in a vacuum, using your last few trades on tight end isn't advisable. I would probably just run the gauntlet with Warren. I've even got Colson Loveland on my bench. So I guess that's one where I'm I'm not using a trade, but do I sort of look, is there a chance in a good matchup I maybe play Loveland over Warren? That could be something I look at. But yeah, look, you probably just got to watch who the quarterback is this week for the Colts and just grim and bear it. They got a bad matchup against Seattle in general, but they're actually getting beaten by the tight ends. They're actually a bottom third defense against tight ends. So there is a chance that Warren's just used for everything this week. So in general, probably wouldn't do it. But look, I do understand why people are getting antsy.
I don't mind keeping him. He has only had less than 5 targets twice all year, and I don't think that's going to change, even against a bad option this week with the Seattle defense are seriously good. They are seriously good. I do think this is part of the field that you attack them, and I think any under-experienced quarterback is going to look towards their tight end more than they're going to try and throw outside the numbers to their wide receivers. This is what's got me strong on keeping the Tyler Warren in there. I'm also in a real position of need with trying to hold on to my trade, so I'm very specific about I don't see the value of this. I can see the value if you want to move Tyler Warren up to somebody, but for me, I've got Bowers and Warren in my starting lineup. I'm more than happy with that. That's fine. I don't have any more buys to go with, and I feel like Warren's still going to have some work, and it'll be fine work. It's fantasy points. We're not trying to win NFL games. That's kind of it's separating those two. Just because he's got an unfavorable quarterback doesn't make him bad. There are 15 shit quarterbacks in this league who serve as good fantasy players.
And I just also tack on back of that with the tight end position in general.
Yep.
The problem with it, if you're using a trade on it, is it's so hit and miss that, yes, you might look at someone as an option right now and go, oh, that seems like an upgrade from Warren to them now. In 1 to 2 weeks, you could be looking at the complete opposite way because everyone has ridiculously low floors outside of probably McBride and Kittle. Like, we've even seen Bowers in these last few weeks struggle. Like, it's just such a bad position where, yes, next week you might get, bring in, I don't know, Kittle or someone else like from Warren or someone that's more of a sideways trade like a Waller or something and go, yes, I like this matchup or I like this situation better right now. But the thing is, he might outscore Warren by 15 this week, and then that player might goose egg you next week, or score 2 points. Like, there is just no consistency really in tight end. So the problem is, even if you're gaining points this week, there's a chance that exact trade screws you the week after. So it's just not good. It's not like when you're bringing in a wide receiver and you're like, I love his matchups and, he's bottoming out at 22 points, but he could get me 60. Like, this is like I'm bringing in a guy hoping to score 35, but he might score me 2. Like, it's just such a crappy position. It really shouldn't be where you use all your trades.
Yeah, agreed. Tyler Warren's currently the most owned tight end in fantasy for SuperCoach as well, which is also why he would feature highly in moves out to tight end because he's just one that people already own. And then from there, it diversifies down to Bowers. Then you get your McBride and Colson Loveland, weirdly, the fourth most, just because he's such good value. So, I understand if you are moving out into a McBride, but it's also one of these things that if you're scarce on trades, I would probably prefer just to hold. So, yeah, I don't know if that we'll have talked about, Tay. I don't know.
It's like I'm not actually saying on this one that you definitely shouldn't trade him. Like, I'm closer just because of this quarterback change. I know you said Daniel Jones hasn't been amazing, but he at least had a baseline. Like, we don't know what the fuck we're getting out of Brett Rippon or fucking Phillip Rivers with his giant ball sack. Like, I just don't know what we're getting out of that, whereas you kind of had an idea with Jones. So I do understand people getting worried, but it is such a shit position that if Warren gets most of the targets and ends up 550, it's probably beating everyone else, like a lot of the other tight ends anyway. So, yeah, I just don't think it's a position of like high-end need right now.
I reckon that's about the book on Tyler Warren for now, is that it's probably specific to your situation. Travion Henderson, I completely agree with moving out on his $16 million. The Ramondre Stevenson thing when he's in the lineup, he's getting a lot of valuable stuff. Break even's now way up to 47. It's just time to go, mate. Yeah?
Yeah, I actually agree with this even more than the Genty one. I just think more because of price, because he's sitting around that 16 million. It doesn't cost you much to even upgrade to one of these better running back starts. So I actually think he's an even better trade out than Genty, who's a bit higher than him on the list. So, yeah, I'd be getting him out. I traded him to Chase Brown last week and actually made $2.5 million from that. So I was very happy with that trade. Like you said, you just don't know exactly what's going to happen with Rabel and his split between Henderson and Ramondre off the bye. Yeah, I just think you got to move him at that price and the break even up to 47.
Yeah. I think that's completely reasonable. The next one is kind of in a similar boat too. I think when you look at the wide receiver position, Emeka Egbuka is the most owned wide receiver in all of SuperCoach as well. So it makes sense that he's one of the ones that people are looking to move out en masse. He's at $9 million now, having just steadily lost money in recent times. He's still on the field. He's still getting the ball. But like in the last week, he shed 1.4. So that's quite a lot of money to shed. I understand why people are bailing on him with the same reason, because his break even now is up to 30. It's not an unreasonable break even, but it's just hard to know if you'll get it week on week now.
I think for people who are looking to nuff and haven't yet, I think this is probably the move. I think, because I'm even looking at my team right now, I have Egbuka still. I'll probably hold him because I'm down to 3 trades and I just don't think I'm going to use one or enough. But for people that sort of are flush with trades, 5 or 6 trades, whatever, and they want to really funnel that money into their starters, I think Egbuka is probably the right one to do. He's going to be my wide receiver 6. He's probably the guy I'm trusting the least right now. I don't trust Baker at the moment. I don't know what's happened with that offense. Like, he's throwing for like low hundreds in yards, and I don't know if it's more so that they've got Bucky back and they feel like they can run the ball better than pass, and Tristan Wirfs is one of the best offensive linemen in the league, and while he's there, I think the connection between him and Bucky is going to be great, so that you just don't know exactly what the yardage totals for Baker in the air is going to be game by game. So I just can't trust Egbuka. It's not about talent. I love the talent, but even like they're getting guys back, like Mike Evans. It looks like he's coming back off IR. Even Jalen McMillan. Probably a lot of guys out there don't even know who he is. He's actually a very talented wide receiver that was actually starting to sort of take over last year, and then he ended up with a neck injury to start this year, so he hasn't featured at all. So there's guys coming back that could even take some of that pie off him. Yeah, I'm fine. I think Egbuka, whether you're moving him down to enough, whether you see someone you want to move him up to, I'm fine with it either way. I'm holding, but it's more of a team trade situation. But yeah, he's the one I trust the least. He'll definitely be my wide receiver 6 moving forward.
Yeah, I've done the same thing. I think $9 million is okay to sit on the bench. It is what it is. Mate, the next one at $22 million, Patrick Mahomes. You sent out the cautionary tale for him last week after the great day out against Dallas. He now gets this tough run of passing defenses and defenses that really restrict points to the wide receiver. That goes to impact the quarterback. You did a beautiful job illustrating that last week. His break-even's now out to 40 points. He's the third most owned quarterback. Does it make sense to move him to somebody you feel like you've got more trust in at the same value? Or are you looking to, if you're making this move, do you think this is a trading up or trading down?
It makes me feel good because it shows kind of how fickle super coaches can be at times. You know, they're obviously bringing him in because of like how they felt, you know, with his break even and what he did against the Cowboys. Obviously gave the cautionary tale. Then all of a sudden he comes out and stinks it up and everyone's getting shits at him straight away. It's, you know, we're a fickle bunch, us super coaches. But look, in the end, if my cautionary tale last week was more about trading him in. I wasn't kind of looking at him like you have to trade him out. So I'm kind of looking at this the same way where I'm kind of like, you know what, that Texans defense is unbelievable. So there are actually, like, yes, he's got a bad run at home, but the Texans are probably the worst of it. So I do think there are better days than what we just saw. So if I had him, I probably would be holding him. Again, it's very much dependent on your trades. There are guys with better matchups moving forward that you probably could move him to. But I'm also okay with holding him and see how it goes. He's getting a lot of rushing work, which is obviously helping. He doesn't really get a rushing touchdown because they don't like, you know, using him in that short yardage situation. Andy Reid has basically came out and said he's not going to use him that way. So he does lose some upside in that side of things. But I do think there are better games than what we just saw against the Texans. I think what you'll find is you'll get more games in between what he did against the Texans and what he did against the Cowboys. So I'm fine with it. But I also don't see him as like this amazing ceiling play moving forward. So if you've got more conviction in someone else, go for it. I think he's probably someone that's being moved up or sideways. I don't think people are downgrading him.
Yep, I think that's probably right. It's kind of funny, though. It shows you how fickle it is, right? He was one of the top moved in last week. Now he's one of the top moved out the very next week. Tells you quite a bit. Those who have not moved out Justin Jefferson, oh my God, $8.4 million now. This is not a Justin Jefferson fault, but it is his problem. He's hemorrhaged $10 million this year, and he's still owned. Tate, you're gonna die. 33.8% of SuperCoach roster still have him.
Oh my God,
I feel sick, mate. That's a lot of people.
Fucking hell! Has anyone had a worse year?
Sell him yesterday. Now, just get him into your lineup.
$8 million. Okay, well, I will say that if I had him at $8 million, I wouldn't trade him. I know we talked about like wide receiver 6 Egbuka. I was fine with it. I just think with Jefferson with this matchup against the Dallas Cowboys, now it's literally the best matchup in all of fantasy football. I'm not out there saying play him, but it's enough for me to say I think I would hold him with the hope that maybe he starts to turn around the money side on your team. I just don't know at 8.4, like you're nuffing him out to make 5. Look, if you've got some amazing second trade where you're like, Jefferson's my only option, I want enough out to then get, you know, like I said, money into your starters, I guess I can see it. But with that name value and the fact he's got the best matchup in all of fantasy, I would at least wait a week because fuck, I want to say that he won't lose much more money because he's at $8 million, but somehow his break even's still 37.
He said that last week.
So
he said it the week before.
I know we've said it every fucking week. It's an absolute disaster. I think honestly, I still think I would probably just go down with the ship, honestly, because then all of a sudden, if everything turned around, you'd look like an absolute genius. But you probably wouldn't ever feel like you could play him.
If it doesn't, you continue to look like a monkey. And, mate, I got done looking like a monkey 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, can I abstain from this one? This is just this is such a bad situation, and like at least McCarthy looked better last week, but he still fucking didn't help Jefferson at all. And the weird thing is their defense is actually really good, so there's probably reason to believe that moving forward that they're not really going to feel the need to air it out at any time. So against Dallas, they could. That's all I'll say. I don't think I would want to trade him out the week before Dallas. That's where I'm going to stand. But it also could be super duper wrong.
Right, if you're starting him, then you need your head checked. That's the thing. If you're starting him, HIA, straight to the blue tent.
Yeah, don't start him, but there is reason to believe he could hit somewhere near that break even and stem the tide of the money loss.
That's filthy, that is. Last one on our list is Ted McMillan. He's made your money. He's $14.85 million. As we were saying last week, his volume had kind of shrunk. He's just coming off the bye, become quite touchdown dependent. Again, like it's $14.85 million. You could probably trade into someone who you feel a lot more confident with, but it might be too much money just to sit on your bench. I get it if he's like your your seventh receiver and he was someone that you're just keeping to throw in if something goes haywire. I would understand that, Tay, but I made the move out of Ted a couple of weeks ago and I feel great.
Yeah, like you just sort of hit the nail on the head. The volume's been the problem. Like you've noticed he's been getting touchdowns, which is saving his day. But I'm just worried that this Carolina team is predicated on, running the ball between Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard. That's their sort of secret to success at the moment. So Young just isn't, outside of, for whatever the fuck reason, whenever they play the Falcons, they just, for some reason, throw a shitload of yards and dominate their asses. But yeah, no, outside of that, they just seem to run the ball, and that's the way they do things. So my concern with McMillan is 100% volume. Is there a chance every single week of getting that touchdown? Absolutely. He's a great wide receiver. He's super talented. He's my wide receiver 5. I actually still kind of do trust him a little bit more in Egbuka. So at this stage, I'm probably holding, but it's very specific. Again, I've got 3 trades. I just don't see that as a must. It's basically me picking him between him and Michael Wilson as my wide receiver 6 that I'm starting each week. So I'm kind of fine with that for now. But I do understand if you're really looking for your wide receiver 6 to start and you're funneling money into your starters, I've got no problem with you upgrading him. Or I guess if you look at him as your wide receiver 6 on your team, maybe nuffing him out and getting 10 mil and then really using that elsewhere. But again, it's very dependent on how many trades you have.
There are a couple of things that rang my alarm bell about him. Like he's still in 45% of teams, which I guess is fair. He's being started or benched in about half and half. So you definitely got that. Is he my 6th? Is he my 7th? But what's kind of alarming is that, so his average score all year has been 22 points, which is okay, I guess. But his points per minute, like per round, right, is the amount of dollars that he's costing you at his the efficiency in his cost is not there. So for similar sort of money, you can be getting wide receivers who are more productive. And I guess that's the question as to whether he's your 6th and you feel like you can just do a straight swap to a more productive wide receiver. Fine, but his break even's 34, and even SuperCoach site reckons that's a 1 in 4 chance he's going to get that. Like that is not great. So he's going to continue to lose your money, and I just don't know why you would hang on to him if you had a sideways move. You could firm up your 7th, and if you were starting him, while you would continue to start him when, again, even if it was a sideways move, you're probably improving your output.
Yep, no problem with that, mate.
I feel like that's the most technical I've been on the entire series today. It feels like a crowning moment for me. Wow.
I like it. Yeah. It was good analysis. It was probably good to have someone who has sold him to sort of give you that side of it. Because I've sort of held on to him and it's just more a team situation for me. It was probably a little bit boring from my side, so I'm glad you were able to sort of give another side to it. That's probably what the super coaches need to hear.
Yeah, it's numbers. It's not about the name on the jersey and the number on the jersey and the team. It's numbers. It's particularly just a financial trade, Jay.
Yep.
It's a business decision.
Completely agree.
NFL SuperCoach Halfa.
Let's move into our traded in. Let's buy after doing all that sell. Feel like I'm in NSYNC saying that. Anyway, first and most loved player coming into lineups. If you hadn't owned him already, you got to own Puka Nacua. He showed you last week.
Yeah, he showed me for a lot of weeks, Matty C. Probably not just last week, but yeah, honestly the biggest no-brainer out there. 17.22 mil, which is weird. He's kind of just held his value because he has those games, obviously, where he comes to the blue medical tent. That's the only issue. It's literally never about him. It's just about his health. Break even of 5. Like, if you don't have him already, just get him now. He has to be in your finishing side. So go, go, go. Is that instinct again? Buy, buy, buy.
Buy, buy, buy. Exactly. That ain't no lie. Buy, buy, buy. He is in. Somehow he's only owned by 39% of super coaches, which I just don't understand. But you got to have him. And, all of a sudden he's just showing you the things we talked about all year, where in Aussie rules and rugby league, we talk about base stats, right? So he gets a lot of targets, he gets you yards. The touchdowns this week were exactly what you've said all year long. They're gravy. He doesn't need the touchdowns, but when he gets them, it makes him next level. He will be consistent most weeks. So this is exactly what you talked about with Puka all year. And just another great piece of analysis that I think you should get all the credit for.
I think 61% of super coaches are in fucking Cancun at the moment, mate. I don't think they're even giving a shit. So I'll talk to the 39. Technically I'm still talking to the 61 because they're the ones that need to actually get him in. So I'm talking to you wankers over there sipping fucking martinis and shit. Go get him because you really, really need him in your finishing side. And just to make it even better, the Lions, who they're playing this week, second last against the wide receiver position. I don't really care so much about that with Puka because he kind of just dominates everyone while he's on the field. But look, there's a reason to believe that's going to be a high-scoring game. So he's a captaincy option for sure.
Speaking of high scoring, Shedeur Sanders has moved to $9.1 million at his break even. I think this is a world record. Minus 41. He could literally stay in bed for the next 3 weeks and still make you money. Oh my God. I get why people are doing a shift to get him in because even now he will continue making money.
41. Shout out Dirk Nowitzki. We brought this up a couple of weeks ago. He made a lot of sense at the time. It was basically people either having like Jackson Dart is their like quarterback 3 that made a shitload of money they could downgrade, or JJ McCarthy that they'd made a fair chunk of money to drop him down as their quarterback 3. Even some people I even noticed on the sites actually played him because I actually said that on the podcast last week. I actually got some credit from some people. It was a bit of analysis that I think was sort of lost in the whole Mahomes Rice thing, that I actually said to people that had Dart as their like quarterback 2, or they had people going on bye that had Sanders as their quarterback 3, that I didn't actually mind playing him against the Titans if you were sort of in a bind, so as your flex. So I actually got some credit off that because some people actually did do that instead of using a trade, and then now they've got the decision, I guess, between Dart and Sanders this week as their quarterback 2. So yeah, happy for people that did that, but honestly, people that just moved down to him and sat him there without actually thinking about playing him as their quarterback 3 have gained a shitload of money, and I'm sure they've used that money they used to downgrade him elsewhere and help their team. So well done. He's still a buy at $9 million because of that break even. So go for it if you want to.
Crazy, absolutely crazy. He's just the best of both, isn't he? He's cheap and he's going to make you money, and you can actually start. He's so good. That's what you're looking for. He's a triple threat, mate, I'd say. Triple threat. That's my stamp of approval. Jameer Gibbs is, I don't know, he's $29 million now. He's simply the most expensive player in all of SuperCoach now. Break even 64. I'm not even scared about it, Tay. I want to own him. I want to start him. I don't even care. I think he'll probably get his break even or close enough to it most weeks. Because for me, he's a final roster player. I don't care if he makes money or loses money. I just want to see him score points. That's all I want now. The rest is nothing to me.
Yeah, I brought this up. I've been saying it all year, and I always go back to that question I had around like week 5 or week 6 from a listener, and they asked me about Gibbs to Jonathan Taylor, and I just took an absolute bath over the next like 4 weeks. But I always followed the analysis on that I still believe that Gibbs was the better asset full season, and we're starting to obviously see that now. People are worried about Jonathan Taylor, and Gibbs is the highest bloody running back in all of SuperCoach, and he's just the thing about Gibbs and why you need him is his ceiling. There's going to be the occasional game where the touchdown goes to Monty, or he's just not quite used as much as other games, and that is always a concern, I guess. But the thing is, he's got a 99 in him. He's got a 90. He's got an 80. He's got all these like enormous performances in him that you're just going to fall back so far if you miss out on. So. yes, 29 million is a lot to fork out. So it is hard to understand where you're finding that money. But if you've downgraded your quarterback 3 all the way down to say Sanders last week and you're just flush with funds, I would just pay it. He's just so good. That Lions team need him. I think they've slowly gone away from Monty more. I brought this up in the preseason why I thought Gibbs was very good this year is I thought that 50-50 split was going to go more to 60-40, 65-35 because they obviously lost offensive line pieces in the offseason. I felt like that was better for Gibbs because Gibbs is the quicker back that doesn't need the offensive line as much. He's the one with breakaway ability. He can go to the outside, whereas Monty has to rely on the offensive line play through the middle. So I just think there's so many reasons to believe that Gibbs is just going to be dominant moving forward to end this season. So look, if you want to win SuperCoach, if you're up there, you probably got Gibbs already, but I just don't think he's the guy you want to anti-pod, which is basically going against the crowd and staying away from them. I think you need him if you want to make noise moving forward.
I also understand this week he's up against the LA Rams, who've been number 1 in terms of SuperCoach points defended against running backs. So it's the hardest matchup in all the fantasy for running back, but I still don't mind it because I'm keeping him all year. And
do you kind of feel like with Gibbs, though, sometimes that is actually better? I actually feel like when teams are awesome against, the prototypical running back, generally that just, rules out Monty. Basically that's the Lions go in and go, well, we can't run the fucking ball right down the middle here with Monty. So maybe we're going to have to, get Gibbs out, use him almost in the slot, get him out and, pass to him heaps, get him out in space because they can't just run into their asses of their own offensive line because the Rams are going to be hoping they do that. So sometimes when I see Gibbs against quote unquote, a very good rushing defense, I kind of actually don't think that's bad for Gibbs because the Lions then go, well, we need him more than we need Monty. So I'll just put that out there. I actually think in a high scoring game, Gibbs could actually really, really dominate against the Rams, even though on paper they're good against the fantasy running backs.
And I think that he's probably the great example of that too, because he's fast enough to get outside, tackle out into the space outside, where I don't think Monty is. I think he's really confined to that tackle box. The width of your offensive line. I don't think he's really got the speed to get outside of that. And they're certainly not using Gibbs. They're certainly not using Monty as an extension of the passing game the way they do. But Gibbs got ways to kill you, and that's exactly what you said when the question about Jonathan Taylor came up back about 3 months ago, where you're like, this guy's a weapons chest. Jonathan Taylor's not a weapons chest. He's an axe. And some defenses are made out of concrete. You can't shove an axe through concrete. So, all right, we'll move to Brock Bowers, mate, because he all of a sudden is a buy again at 14.6 million, and all of a sudden his break-even's really achievable at 10. We had spoken about him potentially having been not as solid in the last, recent period of time in the same way that we've seen Kittle or McBride be more solid, but he's still one of the most owned tight ends, and I feel like I understand why people want a piece of him again now.
I assume it's people moving from Warren. People are worried and they've got that $4 million that they can do it with. I prefer Kittle. Obviously, McBride's just in another stratosphere with price and everything anyway, so you're not really this isn't really counting him, but if I'm upgrading, I think I would go Kittle with that Purdy-Kittle connection. Obviously, I've mentioned already that I don't see Pickett as a massive downgrade from Geno. I'm also not exactly sure what's going on there, who will be starting this week. But so that's not what I'm basing everything off. But at least we haven't seen a lot of time with Pickett and Bowers, so that might be enough for me to go, hey, I'd rather Kittle because I know exactly what it looks like between him and Purdy. So if people are looking at that and they've got McBride and they want to work out what their best option is to move from Warren to, I would rather Kittle if you have that option. So I'm happy with Bowers because he's already in my team. But I don't know. I don't know if he actually is the right guy. I could be super wrong on this. Him and Pickett could have this amazing connection to finish the year. But I just think if you're already thinking about bringing in a $14 or so million tight end, I think Kittle's probably the better option. But look, I'd be happy with to bring in Bowers too. I just think there are other options maybe. And then obviously we've talked about we're not really committing to wanting to move Warren out either. So it's just about what you're doing to actually get to Bowers as well. So yeah, I don't think he's a guaranteed bring in, but I'm kind of fine with it as well.
Yeah, fair enough. It's a pretty severe situation. who you've already got on your roster. I don't love the idea of moving Warren to Bowers, but I get people who are doing it. It's just, I wouldn't be doing it. Even if I did have a few more trades, it's not where I would be prioritising. Mate, a couple to go here. Jamar Chase, it feels weird to think that he's a buy at this stage of the year and that he's only $15 million when you look at a guy like, we're talking about Travion Henderson at the running back is $16 million and his outlook is nowhere near as good. Jamar Chase may just be the number one wide receiver for the rest of the way. We don't know. He's definitely got that upside and that potential. His break-even's 37, so he's got a little bit of work to do. But with Burrow back, he just looks more and more like regular Jamar Chase. And at $15 million, if you haven't got him, I really think that this is one that people should prioritise.
Yeah, go get him at that price. Like you even mentioned, Ted McMillan's almost the exact same price. Like I would be making that trade for sure. Big news too is T. Higgins is back in the concussion protocol and probably should have been out early in the game. Like he basically copped 2 different hits that looked like they were both concussions, and he was already just coming back from one. So I wouldn't be surprised if T. Higgins misses basically the rest of the season. You can't have 2 of them in a row without there being some pretty serious onlookers to see if they're actually following the right protocols as a team. They're pretty much out of playoff contention. I think I saw they've got a 2% chance. They'd have to run the table and hope all these other teams lose, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I just think this is going to be Burrow and Chase for the rest of this season. I know if you actually look at a lot of the data, Chase technically is better with Higgins there because he takes some pressure off. But I think what you'll find is because it's only Chase, there'll just be a shitload of targets. And that's what you want. You just want, basically everything getting funneled to him. So I think moving forward, you just want Jamar Chase with this Burrow stack. I think it's a no-brainer.
Can we bring back the days where Jamar Chase was 23 targets, 16 receptions? I'd love that. Thank you. Kind regards, Matty C.
We've got the wrong Joe and quarterback. We need Flacco back, baby.
Dear Santa, all I want for Christmas is Jamar Chase. We'll see if I'm on the good list. We'll see if the big man list. Mate, Josh Allen went nuclear last week. Anyone who captained him got a super boost. This little black duck did that. I captained him and was very, very happy with his performance. He's $27 million though, with a break even at 30. Mate, I guess this is I picked wrong. I picked Mahomes move. Is that what people are doing? Do you think?
Yeah, look, if I brought up Mahomes and not necessarily saying you had to get out of him now, but if you're moving to Josh Allen because you don't have him, do it, please. That's an absolute no-brainer for me. So, yeah, I just think you need him. He's the quarterback you need moving forward. He's the one I have the least questions about, and it's not like quarterback at the moment is flush with these amazing options that we just know are no-brainers. So, Josh Allen has to be your one. If you're looking for pod options, it needs to be your second quarterback behind Josh Allen because you just mentioned a lot of people captained him. He's a very good captaincy option week in, week out. So you're just missing out on bulk points. He was my captain last week, 250 points or whatever it was as a captain. You just can't miss out on that. So if you don't have him, get him.
I also don't mind the other way around. This is a Josh Allen conversation, but for those who are selling out of Mahomes, mate, I'd almost prefer to still be buying Mahomes, knowing that he will likely still be okay for the rest of the way. If you're one of those suckers like me who's a Lamar Jackson owner, oh my God, it's almost like don't sell Mahomes for Josh Allen. Have Mahomes and Josh Allen. I'd be okay with that. That's, I guess, how I'm bringing it back to Josh Allen.
Yep, no, completely agree.
Our last guy on this list, and I'm just sort of wearing time because I do want to make sure we get a good swing at this mailbag today too. We've been talking about CMC being on the buy last week, so I don't know that any other time you would put $25 million on your bench. It's not a quarterback. This is an occasion where I was fine with it. Man, I'm just sort of flabbergasted that more people haven't moved into CMC until now. Now it's at 25.6 million. You have to do some financial gymnastics to get there because even out of the highest sold players, guys like Travion Henderson, you need to still free up $10 million to make a move like that to CMC. So it's very late to be making that move. It's almost like if you've waited till now, you've missed the bus.
I'm going to disagree. I just brought up with Gibbs about ceiling and that I'd be forking out $29 million. I would put CMC above him because of his price. I think you need both. If people are still trying to get both, obviously that's hard, especially with matchup this week. I probably would actually jump to CMC first. I just think you need him on the run home. 25 mil, obviously 4 mil less than Gibbs. It is tough, like you mentioned, to find the money to get that high, because guys that are sitting around 21, 22 million are probably already doing a job for you. So it's going to be hard to move out of them. I know, like Achan, he's got some injury concerns, but if he's playing, I'm not getting rid of him. So yeah, it is tough, but if you can find the funds, I'm 100% doing it. He's got the Titans this week, who are just getting fucking obliterated by everything, especially on the ground. Like, it's a funny one because they're getting kind of beaten everywhere, and CMC fucking does everything. He's catching passes, he's running. This is the kind of game I wouldn't be surprised if he has a hat trick of touchdowns in, honestly. So I'm going to slightly disagree with you there. I just think you need him 100% in your team. I know that's not what you were saying. You weren't saying you didn't need him. It was just more about the price and what he's been at now. I think you've still got to find the funds at 25 million to get him in, because he needs to be in your final team. So, yep, I actually would prioritise him even over Gibbs, just because he's $4 million less.
Do now, but this is the thing, right? Like, you got to have him. It's just, you could have picked any other time. So, a tough situation, but understand that that's got to be. You got to do what you got to do sometimes, Tay Dogs. That's how it is.
NFL SuperCoach Halfa.
That is all the most traded out and traded in, guys. Mate, we are up against it time-wise, but I need to dive through this mailbag because there are some things to consider here, and there's some really great questions in here. First one, we've got a couple from the Gibberers group, mate, and one of them's really, really specific about a quarterback situation.
Yeah, so I've got Dean from the Gibberers asking, Sanders versus the Eagles or Lamar versus the Bengals? How the fuck did we get here?
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad.
Unbelievable.
It's a legitimate question.
How we got here is just unbelievable. Look, I'll base it off matchup for here because it's just easier, because I don't want to have to actually go down the rabbit hole on this and have to actually think about not playing Lamar. But look, Lamar against the Bengals, 30th against quarterback. I know he didn't go amazing a couple of weeks ago against these same Bengals, but look, in the end, like, I would have probably needed a pretty solid difference in matchup the other way to probably be looking at Sanders over him. Sanders against the Eagles, 14th against the quarterback position. They've been pretty stout on that side. It's really the running back that's been torching the Eagles lately. I'm not saying Sanders can't have a fine game, because this Eagles defense is slipping. They aren't what they used to be, but they still seem fine against the quarterback position. So I'm going to lean. The fact I'm even saying lean Lamar is fucking ridiculous. But I do think moving forward, Lamar, like, they have to start winning. And yes, I know they technically have been having to win for about 8 weeks. But you would think that injury is on the better side than it was, say, 4 weeks ago. He doesn't look like himself. It honestly feels like Space Jam Lamar at the moment. But I still am playing him over Sanders. But my God, if it went the other way, would any of us be surprised at the moment?
No, I think that's why this is a really legitimate conversation, because they both got the same strengths. It's just one's proven and having a tough year of it, and the other is, just unproven, and we haven't got a big sample size. So I get it. I think, if I have been sticking with Lamar all year, I'd be nervous about it. And as someone who has been sticking with Lamar all year, I'm nervous about it. So, I'd be comfortable whichever way you went there, but I would probably still just stick my chin out on Lamar because I can't help myself.
Yep. No, I'm with you.
Mate, this is a great question from Shane in the Gibberers group, because he's in the pods on the run home at wide receiver, but I love this part. I've got no trades left, so you got a cheat code to get more? I could use one of those.
Mate, yeah. I'll have to reach out to Tommy Sangster from the NRL SuperCoach. Everyone always jokes about that he gets extra trades, and, because he runs the entire thing, he's obviously getting slipped a few extra. So if I can get big enough in the NFL SuperCoach community, I'll start shelling out those little extra trades to everyone, mate. So just get on my good side and I'll help you out there. But at the moment, don't quite have the cheat code for it. In terms of his questions about best pods at wide receiver for the run home, I've actually written down 3. And I've kind of gone into a little bit of analysis about them. So, not necessarily in order of how I would prefer them. I'm going to go to Jacoby Myers first from the Jaguars. I think you've probably heard of those guys, Matty C. So 11.61 million, 1.8% owned. I've basically looked at anyone under 5% ownership as a pod moving forward. He's got a break even of 0, so the time obviously is now. He's just been acclimated more into this offense since he got there after the trade deadline. Parker Washington, sort of with that injury and the concern, just has sort of opened up even more position for him because they're kind of the same player. They're both used in similar ways and are used as, I guess, volume hunters. His run is against the Jets, who are 11th against the wide receiver position. Denver 2nd, so not a great one there. And then the Colts 26th against wide receiver. But with him, he's kind of just getting used so much that in volume, it's not so much a concern for me with the matchups. So he was just one I wrote down first. The next one, this guy is just on fire. Christian Watson, 13.07 million, 1.3% ownership, a break even of -10. I will say he doesn't get amazing matchup here against Denver, but then he walks into the Bears, who he just dominated against, who are 30th against wide receiver, and then the Ravens, who are 22nd against wide receiver. So he's definitely one. And the problem is I wouldn't be waiting because of that -10 break even, but maybe he's one you pick up and then maybe bench against Denver. I'm not against playing him. I'm just saying, just based off matchups, maybe he's one you just sit on your bench for a week, make that money, and then play him in those two awesome matchups. And my third one's an interesting one. I actually touched on this team a little while ago, and I would actually probably put this guy at the top of my list because of matchups. It's Juan Jennings at 11.03 million, 0.7% ownership, break even of 9. He comes up against the Titans this week, who are 27th against wide receiver. The Colts the following week, who are 26th against wide receiver, and the Bears, who are 30th against wide receiver. This is just amazing matchups. He's got a connection with Purdy. Pearsall's just not as involved since coming off the injury that we probably were hoping as owners. So I think Jennings is just the most trusted wide receiver there at the moment. I know you've got to sort of deal with Kittle and CMC taking a lot of that pie, but I just think against those matchups, Jennings is a very, very good pod moving forward. So, yeah, I just think he's the one I'd probably put at the top of the list because of price and those matchups. But I really, really like all three of those guys moving forward.
Yeah, I love that, G. That's real good calls. Real good calls. No joy on the extra trade, so that's on everybody to make sure they help make Taylor become the Tom Sangster of NFL Supercoach.
Yeah,
so there you go.
That's it.
Michael Pickard, mate. He's worried about Dan Jones. Indiana Dan Jones' injury could have an impact on JT. Is he a sell now while the price is high? My thin slice on this was, well, no, because the Colts still need to beat you the same way. Dan Jones isn't all of a sudden a Hall of Fame quarterback. The running game is what was keeping the Colts in games, and it's going to have to continue to be.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same side of you and take this into account. If Phillip Rivers is in there, I don't know if he will be straight away, but obviously people are worried about the quarterback situation. I will say that Phillip Rivers in his heyday was like the king of dumping off to the running back. Like you should just look at some of the stats of the running backs he had when he was playing. Like he would dump off to the running back in any situation. It's like he wanted the stats. It's like he didn't want to throw the ball away or take a sack, so he's just like, fuck it, where's my running back? I'm dumping off to him. And some of the stats were absolutely phenomenal. So there is a chance if he was the starter at some stage, that Jonathan Taylor might get a bump up in receiving work, which is what you want from Jonathan Taylor, because he really hasn't been used enough in my mind on that side of things. So I will say that if I had Jonathan Taylor and I didn't have Gibbs or CMC, I'd make the move. I'm a little bit more concerned than it sounds like Matty C is, because this offense just seems to be plummeting at the moment. So, yes, they are going to need to lean on Jonathan Taylor, but my concern is red zone opportunities. I don't think the ceiling's there for Jonathan Taylor with the quarterback change. I know Daniel Jones wasn't dominating, but he was getting enough done. And the biggest worry for me with Jonathan Taylor is because there's no rushing quarterback there, no one's worried about the quarterback rushing, and they're just stacking the box on Jonathan Taylor. So even though Dan Jones might not have these amazing stats, the fact he could run was opening stuff up for Jonathan Taylor through the middle a lot during this season. So I'm just saying, if I don't have those high-end guys like Gibbs or CMC, then I would make the move to one of those two. If I have all three, I'm just riding it out with Jonathan Taylor because there really isn't an obvious guy that I probably have to move. If Achane wasn't withholding that like injury concern, I personally would probably make the move from Taylor to him. Outside of that, I'm probably just running Taylor into the ground and being happy that I've got a good ranking because I had Jonathan Taylor for most of the season.
I mean, he's been on shit teams for most of his career, and he's been a fairly good fantasy athlete. So does it have anything to do with Dan Jones? I don't think it does. I don't really think it does. So I just live on. But I want to pull to the last one here because this is an interesting one about Jamar Chase. We talked about him earlier as some people are buying in, and his matchup's great, right? But what do you think about this? Reece Christensen says, what about Jamar Chase as a pod vice captain against the Ravens? That's interesting.
I was considering it myself. The only reason I'm not is I'm going to vice captain later in the week just because I'll touch on it quickly right at the end where we just talk about our vice captain and captain. But I don't mind it. I've mentioned that T. Higgins certainly won't play this week. He could be out for a little while, which obviously that's got nothing to do with this week. But I just think that Jamar Chase is going to have to be used so much. I wouldn't be surprised. Even though we're getting a hamp with Lamar, I still think this will be a game that's on the higher end of scoring, and I think Jamar Chase is just going to be used a shitload. I just think that Burrow-Chase connection is just going to keep getting stronger as the weeks go on. So I have absolutely no problem with it. I think it's a very, very good pod vice captain choice. I don't even think it should be a pod choice because it should be up there. I know people are probably going the quarterback route of, say, Lamar, but yeah, I think on that early game, I think Jamar Chase is a very, very good vice captaincy choice.
NFL SuperCoach Halfa.
We have hit the end of another Super Coach Halfa podcast. It's brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network. Check out our great stable of shows. You know, G'day Gridiron, they're midweek and Saturdays with all the NFL analysis. You find us on Friday and Sunday with the NFL fantasy analysis as well. And mates, I'm looking forward to it this week. We've got a couple of great guests as well. But, mate, everyone who hasn't joined the SuperCoach Halfa podcast, SuperCoach League, they have to do it. 962235. There's some free gear up there. And it's not too late to join. Any final thoughts, Tay, before we get into the week?
Yeah, I had some questions last week because we didn't actually get to who we were vice captaining and captaining. So I might just quickly touch on that now. So I just sort of mentioned it before that I'm not actually vice captaining that first game. I'm actually waiting till Monday on the early slate. I'm going to vice captain Josh Allen against the Pats because I'm actually a little concerned about that. I know it sounds stupid because I'm vice captaining him, but I actually don't want to put the C on him this week. I don't know. I've seen him not play amazing against the Pats, especially away from home. Like he's just had these games where, for whatever reason, a divisional matchup, it's been tight and they've been lower scoring affairs. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to put the VC on him because he's obviously still a chance of going full Superman and having a big game, and then I can just loop him. Because it's in the early slate, I'll have plenty of options to loop him with. I'm actually going to captain CMC against my Titans. I think there's a chance of him with a high ceiling game. I just think he's got such a good baseline as a running back. He's going to be used in the passing game. The Titans are just giving it up everywhere. I just think they're going to lead in this game and just lean on CMC like they have pretty much the entire year. I think he's in for a very big game. So I'm going to captain CMC, but if I get a loopable score from Josh Allen in that earlier contest, I'll probably take it. So, yeah, that's the way I'm going this week.
I did the exact same thing too. I've got Josh Allen, who had been my captain last week. Anytime I've had CMC around, I've had weeks where I just have straight out captain as well, and it's been sort of between him and Allen because I've owned Allen all year. So they were my considerations too. And I think we're in the same way about that because we haven't talked about it independently before we got to air.
Yeah, I've been going Josh Allen as my straight C a lot as well, but I just felt like with the timing of games, there's definitely the chance to take a shot on a different positional player this week. And CMC just fit the bill with that matchup for me. So, yeah, look, I said, if I get 60-odd from Allen in that game, I'll probably just take it. But, yeah, I think CMC could be in for a massive game this week.
100%. Mate, thank you so much. We are in playoff football now for SuperCoach in most league formats. And then for those who are playing in big open comps like we've got, it's just a last chance to really press up those ladders and try and get yourself to a nice finishing position in overall and any other comps you're in. We will be back same time next week. We've got this solved now, I think. We get it done and we get it out there and give people a little chance to give us a whole bunch of praise or a whole bunch of shit if they like. But you should catch us the same time every week now for the rest of the year on a Thursday.
Absolutely, guys. You're going to absolutely lose your shit when this comes out on time. So I hope you enjoy, guys. Thank you, Super Coaches.
Thank you, Super Coaches. We'll catch you all next week.